I just think that the subcontinent has so much history and such cultural richness that I think the world doesn't really know half of it. And so one thing that I really want to do through my art is maybe bring some of the beauty and some of the history and some of the culture from my country, to use it into my work so that I can kind of bring it to other people. So, I've really lived on 3 different continents. I mean, my life can really be divided into 3 different pieces. And, so I've lived in Europe during the earlier part of my life. I've lived in Pakistan, in Asia, for many years after that. And then I've lived in North America for 12 years now. So I just think that it's because of this exposure and I think it's great to be able to bring something from one place that other people in another place might not know about. And I think it's great to intermix and to share. And I've been doing collage for a while. The first, I think, pieces that I did were probably 10 years ago. So, and I didn't know that much about Robert Rauschenberg at that time. But I just love the ability to use different materials. To express something, maybe a feeling or a mood or whatever. Like especially his collages are something that I admire very much, and I think you see some of that in my work as well, because I'm definitely influenced by that. But it's just the juxtaposition of different materials that have nothing to do with one another, and the randomness of it also. I mean, I find that very freeing because I think it makes for a more active picture because it is juxtaposed in such a random way. So I like that. I find that very powerful. I have these old French newspapers from like the 18th century, which I found at a tax sale in Paris, and I grabbed immediately. Whenever I want to use text, it's usually something in French. You see the fabrics and the colors, the reds and a lot of primary colors, which I think basically comes from Pakistan and that area, because it's very, very colorful. Doing collage, I guess, is more of a Western idea. I don't think that it's done very extensively, let's say in Pakistan or India. It's just not how people work. So it's a combination of all these things. Pakistani or Indian fabric, which is very beautiful, and I think a lot of people in the West are not even familiar with the kinds of things that are done over there. A lot of them by hand. And it's just gorgeous, the kind of stuff that they do. It's stunning. So I wanted to be able to share that with everyone. So I wanted to actually use that in my work. And that's kind of always has been a problem, because it's kind of hard to use fabric in like a regular collage or painting. And I discovered Photoshop, and that was wonderful, because now you can just scan everything. And it's right there for you to use in whichever way you want, and you don't have to worry about the bumpiness or how the glue is going to affect the fabric, or whether it's going to look kind of distorted, because when you glue it, it just it changes. So I don't have to worry about that. I can just scan it in, and it looks just the way I want it to look. I've also used some of my earlier collages, which are actual physical collages in which I've painted and mixed fabrics and different kinds of papers. So I scan that in as well. And then when I have all these images, then I just kind of start to play around with. So it's very free and it's very open. And I can't really say that I have a preconceived idea of where I'm going or what I want to achieve. But just by juxtaposition, if it looks good, then it gives me more ideas, and I try different things. And that's the lovely thing about Photoshop, is that you can move stuff around, which you can't in a collage. I mean, once it's glued, or once it's painted. But with Photoshop, it's very, very fluid. So you can just keep moving things around, and I'm a perfectionist, so it has to be just so, and I can actually do that in Photoshop, and that's great. Because I've always treated my art very arbitrarily, like it's just a hobby, it's nothing, and it's not something serious, it's just on the side. And now that I actually resigned last year, and I decided to pursue it, and I made that leap, and it's just been great. I cannot tell you how euphoric I was. I mean, I've never been so happy in my whole life, I think. It's like you find something that you were meant to do, and it feels very different from something that you're good at, that you're very well trained to do, but is not really, you know, your passion. And that's now with my kids, I mean, that's definitely what I'm going to encourage them to do, is to just pursue what they feel a passion for. And it doesn't matter, you know, what kinds of jobs they'll get or how much they'll be paid for it or whatever. Everything kind of takes care of itself if you really like what you're doing. So that's definitely what I'm going to tell my kids.
Okay.